You know what they say, there's never enough clamps in a woodworking workshop, and I think there is truth to that. That's why I've partnered with TEMU to check out some of the clamps they've got on offer. And check out what I've got for you. I've picked the widest variety of different kinds of clamps you may need in your workshop. So today we're going to go through them, check them and see if it's something that you could use in your workshop. As you can see, I do have a really wide variety of different clamps for different purposes, and hopefully you will be able to see today what they are for, how to use them, and if the quality is actually right. As the last thing you want to do is to spend your hard-earned money on something that will not meet your expectations. And apart from bringing you the knowledge about these products, as I said, I've partnered with TEMU. So I do have an extra for you as my viewer. If you download the TEMU app through the link that's down below in the description of this video and in the pinned comment, and then in the search bar of the application type in my code, so you can get $100 worth of coupons for your shopping. But that's not all. You can actually get one of the items I'm going to be presenting you here today for only $1. However, there's a couple of things you need to know. When you type in my discount code in the search bar, you only got 24 hours to actually make the purchase. Plus, you need to be a new customer to TEMU app or the TEMU website to take the most advantage of this offer. But now let's check out the first clamp. The first clamp I want to show you is this one from Honest. Okay, so it's a quick release clamp. Really nice quality. The handles, the rubber there is really nice, and the large foot over here makes it super easy to clamp down your work. You can obviously take it off, no issues at all. Now I find this particular clamp super versatile. So for example, if you've got T-track in your workbench, check this out. No issues at all, and these are very tiny T-tracks, okay? They're 19 millimeters, so they're not very big, and this will fit, no issues at all. Beautiful, check that out. That is not going absolutely anywhere. Super easy and quick to do, and then with the press of the button you can release the whole pressure. Just like that. Super easy and quick to use. However, you need to be aware that this foot will not fit everywhere. So over here I've got the smallest T-tracks in my workshop and it's not gonna fit inside. So what is the exact size of that foot? Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. We've got just over 11 millimeters wide and the thickness of the bar is 5 millimeters. So you need to make sure to check out what size your T-track is if you want to use it with a T-track. And as we are talking about the numbers, the maximum reach for this clamp is 15 centimeters. So it's a fair amount for most cases. However, it will work not only on T-tracks, but if you've got an MFT style tabletop, it will fit in that hole with no issues at all, and you'll be able to hold your material down to your workbench. However, the main purpose for this particular clamp is to actually use it with a track for your saw. You do have the openings for the clamps on your tracks, and this will fit absolutely perfectly. So you can use this clamp to actually clamp down your tracks to your workpiece, so as you are making the cut, the track will not slip or move on you. That's the primary usage for this clamp. And the quality here, guys, absolutely fantastic. No issues with it. The mechanism works brilliantly. The pressure of clamping is very high, so definitely a good recommendation there if you need an all-around solid clamp. The next set of clamps I've got for you, well, are the standard F clamps, okay, that every workshop should have them. They're super versatile. They do actually allow you to put a lot of pressure on the clamping materials, and in this case you do get exactly that, a very standard, however solid quality F-style clamp. The jaws themselves are covered by plastic, so you shouldn't get any marks left after clamping. The bar itself nice and solid, the grip a little bit rubbery, so your hand should not be slipping on it. The motion is absolutely fine. You've got the swivel end here, so no issues at all. The size, let me just tell you, so the reach is about 67 millimeters there, and the maximum depth you can actually use this is 28 centimeters. So these work as you would expect them to. There's no hidden features here, guys. The quality is absolutely fine. No major issues with these. Very, very standard. Now the question is, if you can get similar quality at a lower price, then you have to shop around. However, I think these are not bad at all. So they give you nice and solid clamping. You know, your piece of work will definitely not move on you. So yeah, there you go. Very nice and solid little F-style clamps. The next set of clamps is actually my favorite, and I've left it in the box as there's few parts that you get in the whole package. So check this out. It's a low profile clamp for MFD style tabletops, and it is actually quite a solid set. So how all of this works? Well, you do have a 20mm dog, so it will fit 20mm holes, no issues at all. Same as the stoppers, they do have 20mm dog on it as well. There you go. So if you want it, you can use it as that. Press the head against our material like so, and then lock it down with the lever, just like that, and your material is nice and stable. No issues at all. To release the pressure, release the handle. Super easy to do. However, you can get far better results in clamping pressure if you add the star knobs attached to the whole set. So you do get a threaded rod that you need to undo, and you also get a spacer depending on the thickness of your workbench as well. So what you need to do, grab that, install it in your clamp, and now very simply whack the clamp in the dog hole and secure it with the star knob from underneath. And now this is not moving anywhere. And you do the same thing for the jaws as well. And now you've got a semi-permanent, super solid clamping solution on your workbench. Check that out. And the most important thing with these types of clamps, when you actually bolt them down to your workbench, they will not lift the material, as very often with these types of clamps they will slightly lift the material off the surface from the workbench itself. However, in this case they will keep the material nice and solidly on the surface of your workbench, which is super important when you're doing, for example, some routing or anything like that. However, this solution does have its own limitation. The limitation is you need to have access to the bottom of your workbench to actually do up those star knobs. If your workbench does not allow you to do that, for example, in the middle of the workbench I've got a flip top, so I cannot get to that part of my MFD style tabletop, so I would not be able to use them in this section here. But if you do have access to the bottom of your workbench and you can use those star knobs to secure these, it's an absolutely fantastic clamp for an MFD style tabletop. And best of all, they are quick release, just like that, and you can take out the material. Plus they do have a fairly large reach, so let me just check that out. So you do get about 13 centimeters of movement on this clamp, which is quite nice and solid. The quality of these clamps is very nice. The jaws themselves, they're padded with this rubber type of material to make sure they're not gonna damage your piece of work. One thing to point out, they do come in different sizes where it comes to the dog holes. Mine are 20mm. So if you do decide to actually purchase them, make sure to choose the ones that will fit your workbench. And as we are talking about, well, purchasing, don't forget to use my code that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, or just scan the QR code that should be on the screen now, as one of the products you may actually get for $1. Okay, super offer, great deal, and you definitely don't want to miss it. The next set of clamps I want to show you, well, they are fairly unique, but they are for those smaller, less demanding jobs. They're still out there in our workshops, and sometimes having a smallish type clamp is actually better. And don't be fooled, they do have a fair amount of clamping pressure because they are ratchet clamps. Let me show you. The company behind these clamps is the Teum. Okay, they're 5-inch clamps, and check this out. Right in the middle, you do have metal jaws overhead. That's the ratchet. So as you're putting pressure on, the metal ratchet engages. Okay, so you actually do have far stronger clamping pressure even on tiny clamps like these. Okay, to release the pressure, you just press that, lifts one of the jaws up, and you can spread the jaws apart. So they are a little bit different from the usual spring clamps that we are used to. Okay, so let's clamp something down. 2 pieces of timber. There we go, one clamp. Now the other. No issues at all in adding the pressure, and this is absolutely solid, right? It's not gonna go absolutely anywhere, and they're super easy to release the tension. Just press that lever and the pressure comes off. Now obviously, due to the size of them, you are limited by what thickness of materials you can clamp. So this is the maximum setting, and we've got about 35mm. As I say, these are for those smaller jobs, maybe in tighter places, or basically items that you just want to hold for a few seconds. So in my opinion, it's a fairly solid option for those smaller, less demanding jobs. Okay, time for the next pair of clamps. These type of F clamps, rail guide clamps. Okay, the size of them 160 by 60mm reach. The quality of these clamps seems to be okay. They are fairly standard. However, the bar itself, I have to say, it's fairly heavy duty. Now the handle, I think it's actually wooden, so you may be slipping your hands on that as they are quite soft. Obviously the top itself, that's covered with a plastic cover, so you shouldn't leave any marks on your piece of timber, and you know, they work absolutely fine. However, there's one thing that you need to watch out for when purchasing these clamps. Mainly, they will not fit smaller T-tracks. Okay, that's due to the size of the head just over here. So what's the size of this head? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Width 12mm and thickness is just under 8mm. So it is quite thick and it is quite wide, so it will not fit all T-tracks. And actually, they will not fit all tracks for the track source. Now, this is a fairly standard one from Evolution, so most of the clamps will actually fit the channel. However, in this case, they don't go all the way in, okay? They're too thick on that bendy part of the clamp. However, if you've got an MFT style tabletop, well, you can use them without any issues, as they will fit the void perfectly. You can add as much pressure as you want. And they will hold your piece of material in place. And tell you what, this is absolutely solid, okay? They are fairly heavy duty. As I say, If you want to use it in any other combination with a T-track or a track for your saw, then make sure that these will actually fit in those tracks. Now the next set of clamps are very similar to the ones you've seen a second ago. However, these are dedicated for MFD style tabletops. So check these out. At the ends you do have dogs to fit in your MFD style tabletops. In my case they are 20mm. And the clamping size over here is exactly the same as on the other ones, 160mm by 60mm. The quality here is very solid. The dog itself, it's not plastic, it's actually made from metal, and if you wanted to, you can actually remove this. So it does open a window for different types of uses and jigs for this type of clamp, something worth considering. The handle itself is actually better comparing to the clamps we've seen a minute ago, as the handle is rubber. So you're not going to slip your hand on it. It gives you a better grip on them. So let's try these out. No issues at all. Very nice and solid. Plenty of clamping pressure here. Now there is a bit of a benefit to these types of clamps, as the dogs actually do not have any texture on them, and that means they're not going to actually damage the opening on your MFD style tabletop. Plus they are very easy and quick to use to clamp your work down nice and tight, okay, just like that. So if you need some clamps for your MFD style tabletop, I think this is actually a very good and solid option. Okay, I've got one more set of clamps for you to check out, and these are actually quite interesting. Now these clamps can be used on an MFD style tabletop, as they do come with dogs, but also they come with plates like these that will fit into T-tracks. However, you do require the wide, large T-tracks. So what's the size of these? Well, the opening itself, let's just check that out. That's 23mm. And that's 20mm. Okay, so that's the size of a T-track you're going to need. The design of these is actually quite interesting. Okay, you do have a spring clamp here to add the pressure or release it as soon as. On top of it, you do have 1, 2, 3 settings where it comes to the depth of the jaw itself. Really nice addition here. Then you do have this swiveling around to adjust to any height of material you may have. So as you can see, that is actually quite high away from the desk itself. Very interesting design. However, to actually use these, you will require access to the underneath part of your workbench. Why? Well, you need to unscrew the dogs themselves, put them underneath your workbench, and then screw the clamp back on. And you do have a nut, and you can take down and secure the whole thing in place. Okay, just like so. So let's give it a go. Well, that is one solid grip there, guys. It's actually quite easy to change the depth of this jaw depending on how far your material is. So you can place it in any position you need it, and then just tighten it up, secure it in place, and you've got really super solid clamping pressure there, guys. Absolutely not budging at all, and super easy and super quick to remove the pressure and release your piece of timber. So these are very good if you need some sort of a clamping setup for multiple pieces, okay? As you're going to be changing and working on multiple pieces, you've got this semi-permanent solution here for your clamping. However, if you do want to just clamp one thing, well, it will take you a few seconds to undo the dog itself, put it underneath the desk if you've got access to the underneath of your desk, and then do up the dog itself so it will remain nice and solid. Okay, so that's retracting a little bit from the benefits of this type of clamping. However, if in your workshop you are actually using the wide T-tracks like these, you can switch the dog for this type of plate. Just simply screw that on, lock it down in place with the nut, and now basically it slides into the track and you can use it as a normal track clamp. So the speed of use here will be a lot quicker than using it with the MFT style tabletop. So it really depends what is your setup. Overall, the quality here is quite high. If you want a semi-permanent solution with your MFT style tabletop, that will work for you. If you want to have quick clamping solution, they will not be the best unless you do have the wide T-track. Now remember, if you want to get some really nice decent deals on this, download the TEMU app through the link that's down below in the description of this video, and in the search bar of the app just search the code from me, DWG3737, to get $100 worth of coupons for your shopping, and potentially you can get one of these for only $1. That's all the clamp solutions I've got for you here. As you can see, it's a wide variety of different types of clamps for different types of needs. Going from my least favorite, I think this one is my least favorite, the standard F clamp for the rails. Couple of things: the handle itself, it is quite slippery, so when adding pressure I think I wouldn't be able to add enough pressure as I want to if, for example, I've got a little bit sweaty hands or something like that. Plus the size of the head itself is actually quite large and it will not fit most of the T-tracks or tracks for your track saws. However, going to my favorite clamp is definitely this one. Thanks to the shape of the head and the size of it, it will fit most of the T-tracks and most of the tracks for your saws. Plus it will fit in an MFT style tabletop, and it's a quick release clamp. Very, very good. However, when it comes to low profile clamping, this clamp from New is absolutely fantastic. I have to say the quality is great and it works very, very good, especially when you actually use these in a semi-permanent solution. When you screw the stand-ups from underneath your bench, it does really work great. So one of my favorites from this bunch, to be absolutely honest with you. Now I just wanted to say a massive thank you to my Patreons for the ongoing support. Now for today, that's all. However, don't go just yet. I do have some really cool playlists over here. Click on those, check them out, and maybe you'll find your next video to watch. For today, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.